Hey, welcome everybody. Mr. O'Donnell here for your 7 steps on how to shoot better B-roll. B-roll, remember, is not your primary footage that you're going to be getting, but the secondary stuff. Oftentimes, this is most of the video that you're actually going to be using in some of your segments. The B-roll can contain or can be part of virtually sort of any segment that you're doing. You could be something about sports, you could be doing something about a club, and oftentimes when you're out shooting, many kids will come back and share with me that they didn't really know what to film. And so hopefully these 7 steps are going to help you. First step is going to be this one, and it's called entrances and exits. When you're at your location, oftentimes you're just going to be able to get there and tell yourself, I just need to be able to get inside and start shooting. But I want to be able to step back for a second and tell yourself, you know what? Even before I enter into the place, let me take a look at where I'm at and how I can be able to film the setting. This is going to create a sense of establishment to be able to know where we are, what's happening at this location. And so this simply could just be a few seconds of the location of where you are at. And then also not a bad idea to be able to set your camera up and film the camera moving into wherever you're at. I'm going to be going into we have a Cyber Patriot competition that's happening today. I'm going to be able to shoot some of that. So I'm going to show you about how to be able to use your camera. And in this instance, I'm going to be using our Steadicam gimbal with the cell phone and be able to use that as simply as walking in, kind of a POV shot. Also, what you maybe want to be able to do is be able to just set up your camera and film other people who are entering. If you're doing a sporting event, this is a good example of if you're going to be at a basketball game or a football game. There's a lot of people attending. You may just want to be able, at the entrance, filming people kind of who are walking in. Remember, as always, we're going to talk a little bit later about changing your angles. So this is a good opportunity to try to be able to get a low angle shot of maybe feet who are of people who are entering in or something like that. Let me show you an example of what this looks like here as we enter in. Okay, so here I am inside this competition, the Cyber Patriot competition, and this we're going to talk about our second step, and our second step is called finding faces. Oftentimes, as you're filming, you realize it's a little bit of a challenge about where to put yourself, where should you be, and we tend to be able to kind of put ourselves behind the subjects because it's easier, it's safer, and that's usually where we are in any event that we go to. You are a spectator, but if you're going to be filming, you want to be able to change your role from a spectator to be able to be shooting the action that's happening. That action, if it's a football game, a basketball game, or a sporting event, you know what the action is, and you can definitely tell the action. In a situation like this, these are kids who are going to be on a computer, and so the action is going to be a little bit different. But how and what we should be filming. So the focus is about how we want to get these things, faces. So you're going to want to be able to put the camera where you can be able to film people. If you're at a sporting event, this is going to be much more of a challenge, and you may feel a little bit more uncomfortable because you may be finding yourself standing on the sideline shooting behind somebody, standing somewhere else up in the stands shooting behind somebody. So whenever you try to be able to hit that record button, you want to be able to see where can I position myself so I can try to be able to get faces. Also, we want to try to avoid that side as well too. So let's say I want to try to be able to get myself either directly in front of the action that's happening or put myself at sort of like a 45-degree angle to try to be able to get some of the faces. Let's see what some of that looks like here. So now let's talk step 3. Step 3 is about sort of the process of what the audience is going to see. And so you want to change up with the location of where your camera is, how close and how far away that you get. And so you can shoot, of course, your footage in many different ways and merge it all together later on, edit it all together. But sometimes you may want to set up some shots to follow in this. And you can see it up here. It is start with wide, medium, tight, extreme close-up, and then back to where you began or re-establish and shot. Often be able to think about what your subject is going to be. So for example, here you're going to see I'm going to focus on the teacher of this class, Mr. Werner. I'm going to start with an establishing sort of a wide shot and then get a series of closer and closer to him to an extreme close-up and then back on out. And this helps to be able to create some flow in the process so that we kind of know the subject and be able to kind of see kind of what's happening. All right, step number 4 is what are you going to be doing while you're recording? Like right now you can see what I'm doing is I'm walking or the camera is moving. Now the camera's on me, but this is the segments that you're going to shoot are not involving you. So let me ask you the question is what is the camera going to be doing? This is where you need to be somewhat careful about how much movement that you do. A lot of us tend to want to be able to move the camera a lot, and I want to sort of give you some caution about be careful about how much that you're going to be moving the camera from place to place. Particularly at sporting events, we find ourselves oftentimes what we call chasing the ball. As action happens one place or another, we're going to be able to move the camera, trying to be able to chase what's happening. And so be very kind of slow with your camera movement. What I often use the advice of, pretend that you're somebody's mom or dad. And so pick a subject, find out somebody who you want to focus on, and then just record that person. And hope that if it's an athletic event, that something is going to be happening with this person sooner or later. Or if not, if it's in a situation like this one, just pick one person to be able to kind of focus on them for a little bit, but sort of avoid the constant moving. Because what you can be able to do is, remember, all we're really looking for is when you create your segments is we need shots of about 3 to 5 seconds, and that camera shouldn't be moving very much. And if it is, it's going to be more of a gentle, subtle, slow move kind of a thing, like you're painting or walking across kind of a thing. So keep in mind that series of shots. All right, the next one, like you can tell what I'm shooting here, is change your angle about where you are putting the camera. Remember, usually we're about that 5 to 6 foot range because that's how tall we are as humans. But I want you to be able to think about and put the camera in different locations. Really creates a sense of flow, so it's not always the same sort of a thing. So you can shoot yourself and get yourself a high angle shot for a little bit. You may want to do the opposite and be able to shoot and try to be able to get yourself a low angle shot. Okay. You can be able to change it and do Dutch angles, rotate that camera, do lots of different sort of things. We want to be able to have a little bit of creativity with the shots that we're shooting, and these can help break up that overall flow of the segment that you're producing. Our next step is called keep it rolling. Oftentimes you're going to find yourself shooting and you feel like you always just miss the shot. Something just happened over there, and that may go back to you moving the camera really fast, and you always just keep telling yourself, like, I just was so close, I almost got that shot. And then you'll turn the camera off and you find yourself really having these short segments over and over again, always of things that you just missed. And it's a bit frustrating. And by the way, it's frustrating for all of us who do this kind of thing. Feel like you're always just one step behind. So a possible way to be able to do that is, first off, to think about that. I want to be able to record longer segments of time. The person who's going to be doing the editing, which most likely is going to be you, you're going to be able to have, you're going to be able to want segments that are somewhere between 2 to 5 seconds. But that doesn't mean you should be shooting 2 to 5 seconds. You should be shooting much longer than that, trying to be able to get a large amount of stuff just so I can get some of those snippets that I want. So this rule is called keep it rolling. Situation like what we're at here, a lot of the same things are happening over and over again. If you're at a sporting event, you're going to notice a lot more differences in terms of you feel like you always just miss the goal or you miss the basket. And so, like I mentioned before, this would help you with you. Particularly pick a person, just follow them. And if something doesn't happen, don't even stop it. Just keep recording that person over and over again. Sooner or later, something's going to happen. Because remember, you're probably going to shoot, who knows, 90% of, you shoot 100%, and of that 100%, 90 you may throw away, only keeping 10% of the footage that you get, because you're always just trying to find just that perfect clip. So remember, keep it rolling. All right, last step, step number 7, is called don't forget the sound. When we're doing these segments, often we're going to want to be able to do what we call, I think we talked about in class, which is called a NAT sound, natural sound package. And so the audio that you get is going to be very important. And so there's 2 different ways to be able to get sort of the audio when you're shooting. First off, you can be with the camera that you're using. You could get one of our microphones here. You can put a shotgun mic on here, and this will just plug directly into one of our cameras. I like these is because when you put this on what we call the boom pole, this allows me to really kind of reach this mic over and get it as close as we can to the subject. For those of you, if you're going to be shooting a situation like in here, if I want the kids talking but I don't want the camera right in their faces, I can be able to set up the camera far away and have this camera and have the microphone set up so that it is close enough to pick up some of that natural sound. And then the other one that you may want to do is be able to just go and try to be able to bring up one of these. We have a couple of these that you can check out. This is a digital audio recorder. You're going to put in an SD card like you would on a camera. you're going to hit record, and you can see the microphones that are on the top here. These microphones are going to pick up much better than you're going to do with the internal mic on the camera, or other devices. And so this is nice, is because you can be able to set this up in a particular place and just let it sit. So not a bad idea to be able to get, as you start thinking about some of these segments that you're going to produce, the some of that ambient noise, that noise that helps the audience realize where they're at. So remember, step number 7, remember the sound.